karma floating away. Wow, wow, wow. Radhe, Radhe, Govinda, Govinda, Radhe. Let's hear it, let's hear it.
Radhe, Radhe, Govinda. We are here to get the energy up around a conversation with Radhika Das, who is checking in with us from London ahead of his about to get on a flight to come see us in Los Angeles this weekend. Welcome, Radhika Das.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. Such an honor to be here with you and all of your listeners.
What I want to repeat what you said at the beginning, all that karma floating away. So I just love that. I mean, basically that snippet we played was from one of your concerts. You can tell us where if you like, but we just want to let everyone know that that's what we're going to be experiencing Saturday night in downtown Los Angeles at the Pico Union. This is September 7th, and we'll make sure you have the link in the YouTube channel for anybody that wants to come. So where was that recording from?
Yeah, that was from an escapade at the Union Chapel in London. It's a space that holds about 1,500 people. And that was my first time in front of that many people chanting the night away. And I just remember every time I hear the recording, I just remember the energy, the kind of joy, the ecstasy that was being transmitted from the stage and from the people in the audience. Being in kirtan together in this community is just such an incredible experience, and I just can't wait for this Saturday night. I'm buzzing. I don't think I'm going to sleep on the flight.
I know. I know. I understand. And once you get here, we'll fuel the energy to make sure that you don't have jet lag for sure. So,
fingers crossed.
Were you a musician prior to? I heard a really great interview with you on Inner Journey. Shout out to one of our other favorite shows out there that speak to mystics. And I just your first experience with kirtan, it was kind of a surprise. And you didn't know necessarily what you were going to. Curious, I mean, was it on your radar at all in terms of maybe, say, a George Harrison, My Sweet Lord, things like that? I mean, you are from England after all.
Yeah, well, surprisingly, no, it wasn't on my radar in any shape or form. In fact, chanting for me was associated with culty behavior, and I didn't feel that this was an authentic place to actually receive spirituality or to connect with the spiritual through song and dance. It just seemed really far-fetched. But when someone broke it down to me in this way, they said, the symptoms of happiness are to sing and dance. I had to really think about that. But it's so true. When we're joyful, when we're really happy in life, we generally sing about it, we will dance to it, we'll party all night to that joy. And so it kind of made a little bit more sense that, yes, this is what real happiness looks like that we're used to. And why wouldn't it be the same in the spiritual sense also? But no, my history is not at all linked with any sort of musicianship. I was forced into piano lessons as a child and didn't really like it until I quit, to be honest. And only now when I look back, I realize that there was a bigger plan, that learning those keys was key to my life.
Isn't that great? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's sort of natural for kids, that they want to rebel against it. So thank goodness you had a foundation though, so that you could dive into this experience. So I've entitled our show Mantra Meditation. So one of the things that I'll share, and I've shared other times because I'd like to welcome kirtan artists to my show. And just so you know, one of the things that we want to do here is on Truth Be Told Transformation is share keys, tools for transformation, right? So I would like to share that I've had great experience, very unexpected, also around chanting a kirtan concert, as really finding meditation, getting lost. Now I'm not a musician either, but I've gone to see a lot of music in my day. I go see bands all the time, and I kind of found myself not going to CBGBs in New York City to see punk rock as much, and finding this really cool jam that was happening in the West Village where I lived. And I mean, hours would go by, and it felt like, I don't know, 30 minutes or something like that. So really lost. Right. And I didn't really know much about Shiva or Krishna or any of the deities, to be honest. So tell me your experience with the actual meditation part and how you think it works.
Yeah. By bringing the mind to a place of connection with something higher than the material, we're able to, like you said, transcend the material way of thinking. And what is that material way of thinking? That it's all about me, that I sit at the front of the concert, I sit at the back of the bus. Not that I know that many people in the States use buses, but back of the bus, but in the center of attention. I like to sit in the center of attention. And according to Bhakti and mantra and kirtan, that consciousness of being self-absorbed, me, my, self, is really detrimental to a spiritual awareness. And so in my understanding of meditation and my practice of meditation, it's about how can I bring my mind and consciousness to be about more than me. And whether that's connecting to imagery or thoughts of the divine, whether that's thinking of service and how I can use this human form of life to impact others, whether that's, it could be philanthropy, it could be any way in which we can connect our consciousness, our mind with something greater than ourselves. And that's basically my most treasured type of meditation, to try and think about how can I open my consciousness beyond myself.
That feels very good. And I think that people maybe have some challenge with that because
Sure.
they are thinking about anything from what am I going to eat after this to, oh shoot, when you kind of you relax your mind, you start to have these notions of, oh, I was supposed to call that person, or don't forget to pay that bill or something like that. So I definitely understand the desire to do that. And I know you're doing a workshop as well on Sunday. Again, we're taping this just days from when Radhika will be in Los Angeles. So what are your experiences, one, and any hints at what you can do to help people? I know one word that I'm going to insert here if I can.
Yeah.
Presence.
I mean, I kind of feel like you've touched on it already, and we're speaking about it, which is humility.
Okay.
It's understood that part of really accessing the deepest truths of spirituality, according to the Bhakti tradition, is to invoke this quality of not thinking less of ourselves. Humility is often misunderstood as being, I'm so low, I'm so crap, I'm nothing, That's what people perceive oftentimes as humility. But humility, according to the mantra traditions, is that it's not to think less of ourselves, but to think about ourselves less. So creating that space for the opportunity for thinking of a higher connection. And how can we invoke that? And people might think that means that we have to shave our heads, put on robes, become ordained monks of some sort. But actually the truth is that it can happen in suit and tie. It can happen in any circumstance. It's just a consciousness thing. And the mind is a powerful thing. We often underestimate it, but it can really be the difference between having a self-absorbed life, which, yes, of course, we need to think about our needs and eating, sleeping needs and health needs, but I think there is also still space for thinking beyond. We do have the capacity to love, and I think that the more we practice that, despite the world pushing us into a corner of being more and more stone cold with our feelings, the more that we practice being aware and conscious of how can we be more loving, how can we be more connected beyond just the self-interest. That's where the magic lies for me, and that's what I really want to that's one of the things I want to get into on the Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. That workshop's going to be happening at Veda Yoga on La Cienega in Beverlywood, in the Beverlywood neighborhood. Just again, we'll make sure that everybody's got that info in the link, and feel free to contact me on Instagram for if you have any questions. So let's take a look at a couple of other. I was checking out your website before our conversation, and I grabbed a few words that I stood out to me, and I thought it'd be really nice to sort of think about and do a deeper dive on. One was gratitude.
Yeah. To be grateful means to realize that I'm not a self-made person entirely. I know there's so many of us that think that, we put in a lot of hard work and we put in a lot of energy, and that, of course, should be commended and applauded. Well done. But also, it takes a village to raise a child. And as all children of the divine, as in my opinion, we are handheld by so many. We are guided by so many. We are, given truths by so many. And I think that to live a grateful life means to acknowledge that I'm more than self-made. Not just self-made, but more than self-made. I'm gifted and I'm being held by so many others. And recognizing that, I think, is so important.
Yeah, I love that, attitude of gratitude we like to say. And
for sure.
I know it's a beautiful practice for people, especially that are going through a really, really hard time. And I remind them, just be grateful if you saw, I don't know, a rainbow today, or you heard from somebody you haven't heard from in a while. Or be grateful that your body is still moving well. Right. And it's crazy the amount of things we have to be grateful for. And I think it takes you to presence, which I think is another important sort of tool, basically, in all of this, correct?
Yeah, it's almost like a prerequisite to love. Like if you think about any loving relationship you have, there's always going to be an element of gratitude there. There's going to be an element of appreciating what that person's bringing to your life, that person's gifting your life. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So I think with the singing and the chanting, I want to stay on presence for a moment. Even if you don't know the people we're singing to or about, Lakshmi, Saraswati, I don't know who, I don't know your repertoire, all of them, but I'm sure you like them all. We don't have to know them to enjoy singing to them, correct?
Yeah. I mean, in one sense, it's a double-sided thing. One sense, it's good to know who you're singing about, because it means that we're not appropriating, we're not coming up with things in our minds, and we're sticking to the tradition. But at the same time, it's like love knows no bounds. And I think that if a child doesn't really understand everything that the parent is doing for it, but just calls out lovingly, mama, papa, whatever name they have for their parent, I think the parent's heart softens immediately when it hears the genuine. I've got 2 little kids. And as soon as my 1-year-old calls my name, I will drop everything. Oh. Like I will fly across the world to be back with my children, because that's what love speaks to. It calls the heart beyond logic almost. And I think that it's the same with a divine connection. When we call lovingly, then that which is beyond our understanding comes rushing to our aid. And
I like the specification of calling lovingly. So, and it's mindful, right?
Yeah.
There's a mindfulness that you're with which, and that's what's so great to me at an event such as a kirtan, is feeling very free to be open with my voice versus, and sure, maybe if I go see U2 in concert or something, I'm singing along just fine with everybody else. But this one is almost a greater challenge, because chances are if you're going to see your favorite band, you know the lyrics. Whereas in this case, you're being invited to sing and revere, if you will, in a way that maybe you don't know, but you learn it right there. And that, I think, also, coming back around to presence, you have to be very present and listen, right? Listen carefully.
Right. So when I first came to kirtan, if I'm totally honest with everyone, I was completely bewildered. I did not want to be there. I was thinking, this is so strange. People chanting in another language. They're swaying side to side, eyes closed. Some of them were even crying. Then the kirtan picks up in its intensity and people start dancing. I was freaked out. I was thinking, this is really strange. And I can completely get it, because it's so alien to do something like that when we're not under the influence of other things like alcohol, for example. To sing and dance in public without having a drop of wine is definitely an experience. And I think that there's something to be then said about the power of the joy that's contained within, like you said, this mindful experience of expressing love, of calling for love, of connecting with these, the spiritual essence. I think that there is so much to be said about that path because it invokes a joy that ordinarily would take many hundreds of dollars to get to on an ordinary night out. And so
it's true. It's true. I mean, it is nothing but it's pure. It's it's clarity that you get from it. Radhika, I'm also remiss that I haven't mentioned that you will be, if people can't catch you this weekend with me to see your concert or workshop, you're going to Bhakti Fest at the end of September. So we're excited.
I'm looking
now.
forward to being back in the hot desert of Joshua Tree.
Yeah, right. So you've been there. You've been there before.
I've been there last year and had a great experience. It's a wonderful festival, one where really hundreds, if not thousands of people gather to explore the spiritual, but also just to have a good time and spend time connecting with like-minded souls, to have great meals, to discuss philosophy, to kick back and relax for a weekend. It's a really good weekend to come and check out.
Well, I can't wait, and I will be going to that myself. So, but that's going to be that's also very, very fun. So it'll be interesting to see all these different experiences with you. And tell me what it's been like for you. I know you play in Europe as well as around the UK. So what are the different crowds like? I mean, is it pretty much they're into bhakti yoga and so consequently show up, or are some maybe a little more shy than others? I mean, what's it been like for you as you've done this over a decade?
It's been an explosion. It's been very, very exciting here in Europe because, I mean, we just maybe 2 weeks ago had a kirtan where there were 500 souls gathered, 1,000 souls gathered, 5,000 at Medicine Fest together in Berkshire. And it seems like there's a real excitement around chanting, around kirtan, around mantra. And I mean, the other thing is you mentioned the differences between audiences. There's definitely some differences. Some people will, like the American audiences, will very much express their joy and contentment with the chanting, whereas some European audiences won't even break into a smile. But deep down, they are really feeling very connected. And I mean, it really speaks to something that even though externally we may appreciate things in different ways. For example, in the States, just last weekend, I was at Omega in upstate New York in Rhinebeck, and people were joyously chanting and dancing and leaping for joy, whereas in some European places that's not such a common experience. Despite the differences externally, I think that when you've been in front of audiences that much, which is something that I've been blessed with, to have seen so many eyes, to have seen so many people in that experience, I've been really drawn to understand that deep down, our needs, interests, and concerns on the deepest level are very, very similar. We may be separated by nationality and flags, but deep down, there is almost a divine-shaped hole in the heart of so many people that is longing for filling up. And so it has been very, very faith-renewing for me to see that the world really wants this and the world really needs this practice of kirtan.
I agree. I mean, I think it provides an incredible release. It is a wonderful stress release, which I think we really need in this country,
sure.
Especially this fall of 2024. I won't state why. I think people can maybe figure out what I'm talking about. But no, it's tense times, and it's great to just get back into joy.
Yeah,
and your music does it, and us participating with you does it. Right? So we get to be part of the concert, right? No, it's really great. So let's talk
it's not
about
a performance for sure. It's call and response. It's us together doing some magic.
All right. Well, I'll be front row, backstage, and then I don't know, maybe, but probably front row. Okay. So a couple of other things that I would like to learn from you, because I just took a glance at your site. And I want to, these, by me asking you these questions, we get to know you a little bit better, and will help us understand, sort of appreciate the work that much more. Shelter. What is it? What are we talking about with shelter? Is it Sharanagati?
Wow, well done. Great pronunciation. Yeah, Sharanagati is an essential part of the Bhakti tradition. It literally translates as Sharana, which means shelter, and Gati, which means the path. And that already speaks to the fact that taking shelter in something greater is not something that happens overnight, but takes time. It's a practice. And now let's speak about the shelter part, because that also seems a little bit alien to many. The fact is that we all take shelter in so many different things, physical and also internal. Physical, obvious things are money. We take shelter in how much money is in our bank account. We take shelter in our lovely homes. We take shelter in the food that we eat, the comfort foods that we eat. We take shelter, like when you break up with someone, and the natural thing to do is to get a tub of ice cream and to take shelter in that moment. But internally also we take shelter in so many places. For example, we take shelter maybe in our status and our public appearance, and we take shelter in the way that people think about us and the relationships we have. There's so many things we take shelter in, but to be a spiritually minded person means that you take shelter in that which is beyond the material. And that does take a little fine-tuning and honing, and even a process of coming to the realization that we do need that. We need a higher connection in order to be holistically happy, to be happy on the level of the body. And the mind is one thing, but then what about the soul? What about the bird within the cage? And so this path of taking shelter, it's a path of humility. It's a path of coming to the conclusion that I've got a divine best friend, and that person, that entity, that energy, however you like to call it, is there and has got my back. And the more I lean into that relationship, the more I feel safe and held, and ultimately a higher sense of happiness. And so that's what that path towards divine shelter is all about.
Wow, that's really great. That is not a concept that I've contemplated, so I welcome that. I'm going to re-listen to that.
I hope it connects. I hope it's not too far-fetched and beyond.
No. It's like
Really,
like you say, it's like your best friend. I mean, it's I almost use the word invincible. Like there's almost an invincibility once you start to understand this and weave this into your daily existence. And I'm not just talking chanting. I'm talking really the devotion and chanting is just an expression of that. But it's going to the gratitude. It's going to the mindfulness. It's going to kindness out there in the world. And once you start really walking the talk, I think there is an invincibility. And with that, I think the concept of shelter, it's almost like your little happy shield in a way.
Right.
That keeps
And I mean,
you
it's
up.
kind of already very much in the scene. Like people are very much interested in manifestation nowadays.
Sure.
And having confidence that your desires will manifest. And so in the same way, having confidence that something greater than you has got your back, whether you call that intuition, whether you have a name for that like Krishna or Rama, whether you don't have a name for that and it's just universal energy, it's having some sort of understanding that it's not all on my shoulders to make it or break it.
I feel like surrender comes into play.
Exactly.
Right? So I feel that was very important for you, and you're sort of going back to your first experience with kirtan, and you said that you kind of wanted to leave, but you were with a friend, and so you had to stay, right? I mean, you had to surrender to the experience.
For sure. There was a point in that kirtan where the facilitator of that particular chanting experience told us to throw our hands up and chant. And I was thinking, all right, here we go. I'm just going to give it a go. And so I throw my hands up and I'm just chanting with my eyes closed. And I just remember feeling so free and surrendered and feeling that yeah, it's not all on me. And that's a really freeing experience. And especially when you chant with many others, it's such, I mean, I can't describe it well enough. You just got to come on Saturday night. That's the, and be with us on Sunday and
Cheers, I get
remain
that.
in the kirtan forever.
Right, exactly. And
That's
then
my
on
pitch.
to Joshua Tree after that. No, but one of the things I want to say about it is almost there's some courage. It took some courage to go ahead and participate and move out of your comfort zone and what
Yeah.
you knew. And I think, I don't know, maybe you could say it takes some courage to be weird because they're like, oh, my arms are up and I'm chanting something I have no idea what it means. But I don't know. We don't have to break it down in that way. That's almost silly.
Yeah, no, one of my teachers says something exactly like that, that to be normal means that we accept the values of an insane world, a world in which hating each other based on the body, on, skin color, on nationality, on sexuality, that's normal to discriminate on those things, right? To be normal means we accept the values of an insane world. I'd rather be considered abnormal, live a life less ordinary, to have a greater connection. And we all have to make a choice. In one sense, what does normal mean? Like, normal for you and I is totally different to the person that's sitting maybe in your studio as your producer. There might be someone listening to this and thinking, oh my God, Radhika Das, he's off his rocker. But then if we really looked into the kind of weird and wonderful things that you did in your life, I'm sure there'd be so many things that you think that's not normal. But that's what it takes. To do something that's not in the norm means that we then have the opportunity to really experience something new, to learn something. Albert Einstein, for example, he says it, to do the same thing again and again and again and expect different results is the definition of insanity. And so if we're looking for a divine connection, but we don't feel like we've had it, then maybe something that's completely different, changing it up, flipping the script, so to say, maybe that might uncover or peel away a layer or create an opportunity for an experience that really enlivens us, that brings us to a whole new understanding. And that's what kirtan invites us for.
I love that. It's liberation. So what I'm hearing is one of the words I would use. And one thing I would comment for, my goal for this show and doing this podcast, and I think you're my 120th episode, as a matter of fact. So I think that's kind of an auspicious number. Thank you. And, thanks for being here for sure. Truth Be Told, the name of the show, Truth Be Told, Transformation. I feel like the truth that I'm speaking about is authenticity. And so that's what you're inviting us to do and be. And, come one, come all to have this experience. I mean, you don't have to come with your posse. I mean, we want you to, of course, but I think that it becomes this loving community, even if you show up on your own. I know I used to go to kirtans by myself because all my friends were like going to punk rock concerts. Do you know what I mean? And so I was the person that had to follow my heart and do something that wasn't, bleeding in my ears, and I didn't feel like drinking any more beers at that point in my life, and yet I got even more high doing this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So
yeah, it's an invite for authenticity, an invite for something different, an invite for exploration of self, of higher consciousness. It's an invite for joy. It's an invite for, I'm pretty certain, and I mean, without putting too much of a disclaimer on it, that anyone that connects with this practice is going to find deeper truth than they expected. It's so simple, this process of chanting and dancing and being collective in this community. It's so simple you might miss it. You might see it as just a Hindu karaoke, or you might just see it as a chance to just sing and dance with friends and let your hair down, and that's completely fine. There's no need to prescribe and sign up anywhere for a particular tradition and to now you're part of a cult or anything of the sort. It's an experience of spirituality that is maybe unconventional, but also at the same time invites you to a joy that's unconventional too.
Right on, and gets you to a place of meditation that you may that is very unexpected, right? So it doesn't have to be this austere quietude. You might find that inner calm and certainly reverence by singing and dancing. I mean, I do. I think that it really helps me get to a neutral place. I tend to listen to mantra music a lot, these days, just because it feels good. And I think this is going to be really great. And I think I should let you go because you need to
thank you.
charge the batteries before a long, long flight. And we're really excited to get you over here to California. Again, we will see you Saturday night. That's at the Pico Union Project. It's in downtown Los Angeles. Sunday afternoon for a workshop. So the concert is Saturday night. The workshop is Sunday. That's at Veda Yoga in Beverlywood. They've got 2 locations. This is their new La Cienega location. And Bhakti Fest, I think I don't know which night you're performing. Are you on the Saturday? It is September 25th through 28th, I think are my dates. I may be off.
I'm performing on the Friday night.
That's great. So that's also just a great, and really what we're trying to do is this is a show that I like to use to pull the community together. We are, I think the viewers are interested in higher consciousness, and I like to deliver all the luminaries that can help us find our way. So thank you. It's such a pleasure to speak to you further. I can't wait for Saturday night. And I thank you, and we'll see you there.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. I really appreciate this opportunity to be connected with you and your audience, and can't wait to see you very, very soon.
Namaste and bon voyage.
Namaste.
Thanks for listening, everyone. This is Bonnie Burkert for Truth Be Told Transformation. We, as mentioned, we've got lots of episodes, and we're just really here to provide a platform for artists, speakers, and teachers that want to help us find a higher, brighter life. Don't forget, Tony Sweet is on Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific. That's live, so the community gathers to ask questions of his guest and certainly of Tony. So don't forget to tune in there, and be sure to follow the Club Paranormal Network. That's our YouTube channel. If you want any information about this show, we will make sure that that's up on our YouTube channel, and we'd love to hear from you, so don't be shy. And thanks again for listening, watching, and don't forget, shine on.
That karma floating away. Wow, wow, wow. Radhe, Radhe, Govinda. Govinda, Radhe. Let's hear it, let's hear it. Ajama.